How's it going, guys? This is Jay Bull, giving you a nice detailed review and unboxing and setup for the new Audio Technica LP120XUSB. So just for some quick knowledge, the previous LP120 had a couple of issues with it. There was an anti-skate problem, as well as the preamp was a little bit weak. So if your model contains the X in the model, so as you can see over here, AT-LP120, if you got the X there, that means you have the revised model. And that means that your anti-skate problem is fixed, as well as they put in a more powerful preamp. So those two issues have been resolved. So now we're gonna go with the unboxing and the setup. So first I'll give you just some quick pointers so that your setup can be as perfect as can be and there can be no issues. I would recommend the first thing to do is to just carefully remove everything from the box, as there are quite a few different pieces involved. There's also another device that I would recommend purchasing for your setup, and it is a digital stylus reader. You can get them for about $20 Canadian on Amazon. Basically what this is gonna do is, once you're done balancing the Tonearm, which I will get into the video later on, you put the stylus, the needle, onto this digital stylus reader, and it will tell you exactly the grams of force. So I believe that Audio Technica calls for 2 grams on the dot. So when we get to the balancing, I will show you how to do that, and we'll try to get that as close to 2 grams as possible. So first, let's get everything out of the box. Okay, so now we got everything out of the box. I'll show you what we got here. So here's the felt mat for the plate. Here's the plate itself. The first thing that you'll be pulling out of the box is the casing, which will be very light and easy. You can just pull that right out. Then these 2 boxes that are included in your packaging contain the cables. So your USB cable that you can burn your music to your laptop, as well as your AC power adapter, and the RCA cables will be included in these 2 boxes here. Then finally, you will have your turntable that comes out. I highly recommend, when pulling it out, that you squeeze it from here and pull it up. You'll see that it will just come up. Just be very delicate and careful with it. So now if we get a little bit closer, you can see on the sides of the foam is where you're gonna have your pieces for the turntable itself. So here, you're gonna have your counterweight, which is going to be balancing the Tonearm. Over here, you're going to have your needle and your cartridge. And here are your 2 hinge clips. This over here will be a light that I'll show you later on that you can put onto your turntable, so at night you can better see your disc and where you're putting the needle. Now, for the cartridge and the needle, I highly recommend do not pull it out, as the tape over here is kind of sticky, and I learned my lesson the first time. So I highly recommend to get yourself a pair of scissors and just carefully cut the tape out over here so that you can remove the stylus and the cartridge as well, because this is your most fragile part of the entire system. Okay, so very simple, the first couple steps. As you can see, the Tonearm, it's got some packaging on it, as well as the plastic zip tightener. You just simply want to remove this. So just be nice and gentle when you're doing it. I always say, when you're doing the setup, never do it in a rush. You can just lift that Tonearm, and there you go. Okay, so now we have the plate and the mat taken out of the wrapping. It's extremely simple. It's gonna go in one way, and then you'll notice that once it goes in, it's gonna be fastened, and it's gonna sit very nicely. There we go, sitting. Now we're gonna take our felt, and you just put that on top as well. So now the plate has been put on, which is the easiest thing. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna balance the Tonearm. Okay, so before balancing the Tonearm, extremely important step is, of course, to put the cartridge and the needle onto the Tonearm. So as you can see over here, there is a small little metal piece that is sticking out of the top where you're going to be plugging it in. If you get up close to your tone arm, you will see a small little groove insert at the top. That is exactly where you're going to be wanting to put it in. So you'll notice that it'll go in one way, it'll go in straight. Then once it's in, you're just going to hold it very gently but firm, and you're just going to tighten until you can't tighten it anymore. Don't worry about breaking anything because this tone arm is very robust. So as you can see now, the needle in the cartridge is secured. Okay, so now that we have the needle and the cartridge on, we're on to the most important step. A lot of people would find this to be the most difficult. I don't see it as being very difficult. It's just obviously the most time-consuming step is balancing the actual tone arm. It's nothing to rush. It's not hard either. You're going to get that perfect spot. So basically, your objective when balancing this tone arm is that you want it to sit perfectly flush at about that. You want it to look as straight as it can be, where it's floating and it's not touching the bottom, nor is it raising up. You want it at a perfect medium and you want it to be floating. So in order to do this, and you'll see as easy as it is, the first thing that you're gonna wanna do, of course, is remove the guard for the needle and the cartridge. The reason why you do that is because even though it's a little piece of plastic, this will actually affect the balancing process and not getting a completely accurate reading. So now that that is off, you're going to take the weight that came with the packaging. Just like I said, nicely remove it out of the packaging. I always recommend using scissors. You're going to just bring it into the back from the front area. You're gonna see that it's going to stop. From there, you're gonna be able to twist it. So now my tone arm is basically on. As you can see now, it's lifting. So that means that I have it on too high. The more that I bring it back, the more it's gonna lift drastically. Now, if I bring it forward, however, you can see that it's going to start falling down. So what you're gonna wanna do, and don't make the mistake that I did on the first time, is that when you're balancing this, just use your two fingers like this and keep a hold of them very gently, because you do not want this thing to be falling and bouncing off of this plate. Even though I'm sure it's going to not harm your turntable in any way, if you want the very best setup possible, I highly recommend just using your fingers as a guard. And now you're just gonna wanna play with it. So as you can see, I already kind of got it a little bit. You just want to this is why I say it's a little bit time consuming, because it's not the easiest, but you're just going to find that perfect sweet spot. So I have it just a little too heavy right now. So now it's a little bit on the back side. So as you can see, it's kind of there. I would say that this is more on the heavy side. You're definitely gonna wanna fix that up, because the magic you wanna see is gonna be right like that. You want it to sit perfectly flush. So I'm not gonna kill you guys with this video. I'm gonna fix this now, and we'll get back to the video and I'll show you exactly what it's gonna look like once I get this zoned in. All right, so as you can see, I have my turntable dialed in now. It's sitting off of the guard, so it is floating, not falling, nor does it look like it's coming up or it's lifting. So that right there is the magic position that you want to see. You want it to be perfectly straight and perfectly flush like this. Now I'm sure I may be off by the slightest little degree or anything, but if you can get it at this, you're in the money. This is what you guys want. Nice and straight and flush. Okay, so now that I got the tone arm balanced at that medium, exactly the way that we need to, Our next steps is that you're gonna notice that there's a dial at the front. That dial right there spins on its own from the entire dial. So you're not gonna wanna spin the entire dial. You are just delicately turning the dial at the front. So I highly recommend, by doing this, you're going to take your tone arm and just carefully put it back into its position and lock it into place. Because realistically, you have it balanced, you have it locked in. This will be the best thing now for doing this. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the front dial here and you're gonna bring it to 0. So now we have the front dial perfectly lined up to 0. You're going to grab this back thread here, which is going to control the entire weight. And all you gotta do now is bring everything to 2, as what it says on the manual. I think I got that bang on. So there we go, now we're on 2. And now you're going to take your anti-skate. It's gotta be on 0 for the entire setup process until now. And you're just going to take it and bring that to 2 as well. So as you can see, we have the anti-skate on 2. So here we're going to test out the force of the tone arm, and we'll be doing that by using the digital stylus reader, which I recommended for all of you guys to get. It's just really nice for the peace of mind to know exactly how much force your tone arm is delivering. So here we have the test weight that comes with most of the digital readers that you purchase on Amazon. It's supposed to read 5 grams on the dot. So as you can see, it's reading 5 exactly. So we know that it's going to be accurate right to the decimal. So now we're going to take this off. And very gently, you do not want to do it with any force at all. You're going to take your tone arm and put the needle as gently as you can right on that black bullseye of the reader. So as you can see, we're reading 2.01, which is, or even 2.02, which is as accurate as you're gonna get it for the most part. Okay, so now we got everything set up. The arm is balanced out. We got it at the final number, 2.03. If you guys can get that closer, let me know in the comments. That's quite impressive. We gave it like a good 4 or 5 tries, and 2.03 was the number every time, so we're just gonna settle with that. We got the hinges in the back now. If you can see zoomed into it, there's grooves, and all you have to do is just pop them right in and just push them right in. I felt I didn't even really need to show that in the video. Here's the light over here, and all you have to do is just put that into this, and that's it. You can turn that around and it'll be facing the turntables. All right, so now we got the glass, the plexiglass. If you can see, there's 2 inserts on the inside. You literally just have to hold it, push them into the inserts. So that's how I've had it now. It's just gonna come down really naturally. And that's it, we're good to go.